All right, the S&P 500, the Nasdaq 100. The first thing we jump into, first of all, Donald Trump is president, so things are going to get interesting here, right? 4-hour chart, you can see we're identifying and we're mounting back over the $600 level, which we talked about on SPY, and you're working your way into 604, kind of what we're looking for here. You're finding a little bit of resistance at these little previous levels here as well. You got this little SR flip. I don't think it's going to be a big level, but we'll go more into that too with ES as well. You could also go into QQQ, so you're breaking out of that downtrend, trying to make a new local higher high here, what you're looking for there. Now, in my opinion, you need to go to Nasdaq to identify what's happening there to get a better viewpoint of the overall market. And this is where things get really interesting, in my opinion. Now, first of all, if you zoom out, we're going to go like something like the daily so you can see. In my opinion, this is your July high, the most important level on the chart. And it's basically 21,512, 510. You've been in a basic bull flag for, in my opinion, from mid-December, December 16th till basically now. You're breaking out of it. You look good. You look strong. You're mounting that level on the daily time frame. You go to something like the 2-hour time frame, and it gets more interesting here. So we saw last night and this morning, we saw some overall selling yesterday in the after hours, and then this morning bouncing off that level. So what are we seeing there? We're seeing, we're getting a lot of information at that level is that buyers are showing up. You're having opportunities from sellers, but they're not getting aggressive. The other interesting part here, where things really start to spark, in my opinion, my interest, as you go to what's happening here on volume. We look at what's happening here on volume. Let's get a refresh real quick. You can also see right here, you have 28 million on the volume side here. So you saw some selling try to occur, but overall you're moving to the upside with minimal volume. Like I said, when volume starts to ramp up, I do believe buyers will break you out of this. And you go to another area here too as well. The biggest holdings in Nasdaq of getting a breakout, continuation, something that you'll line up all the time is going to be SMH semiconductors. When semis break out, the Nasdaq typically performs. Semis are at a massive level right now. There's two levels you're really watching: your 200 daily moving average and your 261 level. Okay, it was 256, but you've made a brick wall going back into basically October. Every time SMH semis hit this level, you've been rejected, and now you're trying to mount it. So this is where things get really interesting, getting that hopefully break or retest and then a mount on higher time frames. This is the 2-hour chart. Again, if we start getting in this range, again, you can see it. I'm not, you have a giant ass gap till 270. And if that happens, you're assuming names like NVIDIA, AVGO, ASML, a lot of these semiconductors get a lot of leg room. And if that happens, you have to assume buying happens across the board on NASDAQ, and it tries to push back into local highs. So ultimately what I'd be looking for there overall in the market right now. So again, you're at some big levels. What I'd be watching now, just flat out levels on NASDAQ, ES. I'll go over those right now, demonstrating those. So right now on NASDAQ, what I'd be watching intraday over post-market, what I'd be watching the after hours, right? I want to see a mount above 21.75. It's not a major level, but it's a level that we've been tracking for the basic majority part of the day. Holding above that. If you hold above that level, that's what I'd be looking for back into 21.86. Now, if you get below VWAP, I'd be looking back down to 21.5. Now, obviously, VWAP will reset, when the market closes. But what I'd be watching for there. And again, this level down here is just your previous July high. You've tested it multiple times, and you're kind of finding a lot of buyers there. So again, what you'd be looking for. If you get below this level, I would not be optimistic. I'd probably look for downside. The other part of this, you go to something like ES, and you're going to notice as we move on, the charts get better and better. ES is not slowing down. ES is at its local high. It's breaking out. It looks really good. If you go to something like the 4-hour chart, you can see that you're actively making now a higher high on the time frame in which you were looking bearish, right? So a lot of people were saying, you're operating in a downtrend. Well, now you're not. Your higher high has been established. Bada bing, bada boom, right? Now you go to Dow, and you look at Dow here, and Dow looks really good. So I can actually just clean the whole, I don't want to because the levels are just so pretty on the Dow chart. Yeah, I don't want to because I don't want to redo this. But Dow in general, you broke and hit your 200 daily moving average. Since that day, Dow has not looked back. You have found nothing but buyers. And it's not really surprising to me that you're seeing Dow continuation with the Trump presidency now. Because again, when Trump was elected, I think Dow actually did the best. Like this is when Trump won the election and you went berserk, right? So, yeah, not super surprising, but this is where you're at. And I think Dow will continue going up. The big break will be 44.5. Above 44.5, you're probably pushing into 45.125. What I'd be looking at there, right? So again, indexes as a whole look really, really, really good. Now, equities, what am I looking at there? Before we go into equities, I just want to knock this out really quick. DXY and yields. Now, one of the biggest concerns we were looking at with the market as a whole going into a Trump presidency was How would the Fed and Trump work together, right? Now, that's day one, so this is subject to change. But this was the biggest area of concern. I will say Trump day one, getting in office, DXY continues to show weakness. That's a good sign. Okay, we want to see more weakness on the dollar. The 10-year yield coming down with the dollar, not really surprising that's following, but weaker. We want to see more weakness, a lot more weakness. The 30-year yield as well, and then obviously TLT continues to bounce. We're looking for a bounce on TLT like back into $90 on the low end side, right? What we're looking for there, right? Now, Bitcoin also performing pretty decent, looking for an all-time high breakout. I think Bitcoin looks phenomenal. You held your support down here. You're bouncing. I think Bitcoin's going to 120K, personal opinion, right? So equities, stocks, what are we looking at? What are we watching, right? So I'll start with the bad and I'll move to the good, right? Number one, Apple, probably your weakest name out there. Few things happened this weekend on Apple. Okay, so I posted Apple on Twitter this weekend, and I kind of went over this. I also posted some shorts and things I was watching and going over the week, but I posted some charts here specifically. But I posted a video on here going over Nancy Pelosi. And if you don't know, Nancy Pelosi announced that she sold some of her Apple, bought some other stocks. And then you also, on the bad end of the stick here, you also had, I believe, a downgrade, which was pretty big for Apple as well. That was pretty bad, and it's the only thing that really had downside here on the day. Kind of coming towards the 200 daily moving average. I would expect to find buyers there. I'm not a buyer here right now. Steer clear in the short term. So there's other equities that look a lot better. Point, to make here. Now, the next one that we talk about is going to be Netflix. You have earnings in the after hours here. We'll see how we perform. I'll go over this more on Twitter, maybe even TikTok. So I'll have stuff posted there for you guys to be updated on. But short term, what I'm watching here, if Netflix can get above 890, really this level should be up here like 890. If you get above 890, I think you're back to being bullish, and this could push back into all-time highs. Personal opinion, they've had really good earnings. I think the market looks really good as a whole. Above 890, we're talking, in personal opinion. Until then, though, be careful. It's my opinion, okay? Tesla, another big winner here on the day. So obviously we have Discord. If you guys are interested, you can check it out. Link is down below, whatever. Only a few trades here on the day. Number one, we traded Nasdaq to the upside. QQQ, whatever you want. We traded TM, Tempest AI, posted that one in Discord as well. But the other trade idea, right, for a scalp on stocks was Tesla here. As we remounted back above, basically 415, went to trade back into 419, 420, give or take, to 422, 423. And obviously that trade worked out. But what I will say here is that Tesla had a really good trading session today. Now, let's talk about why. So in my opinion, the only level you care about on Tesla is 415. That is it. I don't care about any other levels here. But what you're seeing is that sellers push you down, but buyers held the line. That's your 2021 high. Tesla holds that, you're still bullish. Like, I don't care what anyone says. That's your line to be bullish. Under that, obvious, a lot of concern. So Tesla still looks good above that. And if you get back above 430, it's running back into 440, maybe even higher. So still love the chart. It looks really good. I have some stuff posted on Twitter as well for that. Two of my big breakout charts that I'd be watching right now are going to be Amazon and Google. So as you can see, Amazon breaking back above 230, big line in the sand here. You can see you're kind of flagging here on the 1 hour, 2 hour back into highs. I would be looking for an all-time high push sooner than later, back into 233. Looks really good. Not really a fast mover, but still looks really good, and I love the mount that you're getting there. Number two, Google looks really good. I think Google might be my top chart, to be honest. Yeah, I'll be totally honest. I think Google is my top chart. If Google can break a mount above 202, I don't see a world in which this does not run. I just don't see it. I don't see it happening. Like, I don't see how it doesn't look really good. Now, what I will say is you don't want to go long before you get a break amount. Why? Because you even have a gap here. So you could easily gap back down, fill the gap. I don't want to deal with that, right? So I want to see a break and hold. If you hold this, you look really good. Now, examples that I can show you are things like Amazon and Apple. So Amazon, when you finally break $200, this 200 psych level, like what happens, right? So it was way back here, the 201 level. You eventually broke it and you went up to 212, right? You go to Apple, this was the big one. Everyone remembers this one, right? So you break 200 finally, you go straight into 218, and then you run into 230. So I'm not saying Google's going to go like that berserk, but it does look really good. And it's a smaller market cap than Apple was at that time. I think it's in a really good position. And again, it's just big opportunity based off the chart. And again, I love finding a good setup. And I think it's one of those setups that looks really, really, really good, right? So those are my favorite setups right now, what I'm watching overall in the market. Not getting super aggressive, but again, some, honorable mentions, right? You have ARM on the day looking really good, breaking that kind of downtrend as well. Now, ARM, I think I'll say is like, I've said this a lot on ARM. It's probably one of my favorite risk to reward cryptos out, or not cryptos, semiconductor names. I think it has a lot of upside. I think it's just a lot. It's just untapped, right? I think it has a lot of untapped potential, and I think ARM could explode, right? If I had to line up NVIDIA, AVGO, ARM, AMD, whatever else, I would say ARM has the most upside potential in a shorter amount of time, right? So they announced a deal with Oracle. They're basically SoftBank, Oracle going in on a deal, and that's what ARM's up on the day. I like ARM a lot. I think you just need to have time. Personal opinion, what I'd be watching there. So again, top names, what I'm watching. If you have questions, comment down below. Those are the top stocks I'm watching. I'll have more stuff on Twitter as well. Again, have the questions, ask what you can. All my links, everything like that is down below to trade with us, Twitter, all the updates. Have a good one, traders.